I don't know whether you're the world's leading Christian biographer, but certainly in Britain you're the most popular one, and you've written so many biographies. When did you, if I may ask, when did you start writing Christian biography?
When did I start? About 1989 was the first one. Well, I wrote Troubled Journey, which was my own story, and it actually helped me to reconcile myself to my own missionary background, which had been very deprived from. But writing that record showed me that my parents and missionaries like them also went through great suffering, and it helped me very much. That was the first book I wrote.
All right. And then the first biography of somebody who'd lived in previous times?
That was Grimshaw.
Now, you're a great fan of William Grimshaw, aren't
Yes,
you? In
yes.
fact, you've written, what, 3 books about him?
I have, yes.
And why Grimshaw?
Well, I think he's a neglected person in terms of Christian history. He's hardly ever mentioned, and he was one of the 3 mighty men of the 18th century revival: Whitefield, Wesley, and Grimshaw. But because he died much younger, and nothing that he wrote was published. He's dropped out of people's memory and thought, and he certainly needed bringing back.
Celina Countess of Huntingdon, again, not particularly well known. So why did you go for Selina?
Well, she was like the hub of a wheel with the 18th century revival, that she sent money, help, all these men, Wesley, Whitefield, Grimshaw. She knew them all the Welsh evangelists. She helped them. She set up a training college to send out preachers to all over the country. A most remarkable woman. Yes.
Well, it's a great read, I must say. Though my favourite book, I think you know, is this little one,
Yes.
Faith Cook's Sound of Trumpets. And there's one particular biography in here of Christian Watt I love and have read several times. But this is a compilation of biographies, and
Yes.
you've done a number of those, haven't you?
Yes, I have.
Why do you do that?
A lot of Christians like a book they can pick up shortly on a Sunday afternoon, perhaps, and just read one chapter and feel they've read something, and that's completion. So these are different characters, which perhaps many have been neglected, but they've.
Well, Dr. Bernardo and John Nelson
Yes.
of Yorkshire as well in here. And then our hymn writers and their hymns. Again, a compilation.
Yes.
What's your aim here?
Well, the aim is not just to tell the story of how a hymn came into being, but to look at the writer and why he wrote the hymn, what his own spiritual thought and his technique, his poetry, and above all, the beauty of some of our hymns, which, although I love some of the new hymns very much, some of the old hymns are very, very deep theology and emotional love for God, and I've been blessed through hymns.
How long does it take you to write a biography?
It varies very much. The Selina one was 5 years, because
really?
I took a whole year just transposing her correspondence into legible writing, because it was terrible, with no punctuation and spellings everywhere. It was very hard to read.
Well, you're very, very persistent. Are you obsessive?
Yes. It is not a helpful trait, but it's. I think you need to have a one-track mind.
Well, I've seen you do a little bit of research when you came to my hometown and looked at the historical documents to do with Samuel Marsden, and I saw how you focused on detail.
Yes.
You are given to detail and accuracy, aren't you?
You have to be, because your readers will pick you up if you're not.
Yes, interesting.
They will soon spot a fault.
So you find people who don't know anything about the person reading these, but sometimes people who are quite expert.
Yes, they do, and I've been pulled up for several very small things, and sometimes I've even been proved right.
And then Lives Turned Upside Down. What is this?
Yes, well, that was the original title, and it's been given this new title of Surprised by God, because it was first published under the other old title, and it's the only book I've written, I should think, with stories of conversions. That's why the title, Surprised by God. Men and women, right up to one a friend still alive whose conversion was a remarkable surprise of God on his life. Yeah, so it is the only book I would say that's entirely suitable for giving away to those who are either inquiring or not Christian.
Is it more challenging to write about somebody who's still alive?
Very much more so. You have to be very careful.
Because
You might say something that's actually true and they don't want it known.
Now, what about in historical work? Do you sometimes find things about somebody that you think, do you know it's better that this is just put to one side?
Yes, I do. Very, very rarely, because I think you do need to bring out warts and all in a book. It's not fair just to bring all the good points, but there are occasional things you come across which it is best not to broadcast, because if anyone wrote my life, there would be things I would want not to be known, because we all struggle at times.
Now, I know you're working on a book at the moment about famous Christians from Yorkshire, historical Christians who, from John Wycliffe, all the way through, some very fascinating characters. But actually, the latest book you've had published is this one. And so I began to read books that have influenced me. It's semi-autobiographical, isn't it?
Yes.
Tell us a little bit more about it.
Well, the EP, Evangelical Press, asked me to write a follow-on of my life as a pastor's wife, following the troubled journey, which was the story of my childhood.
Yes.
And I said, no, I couldn't do that. And for the reason we've just talked about, that there are things that I wouldn't wish to publicise, and people alive who would not be happy for things to be brought to the Christian public. But then I realised, or friends suggested I could write the story in terms of books that I'd read that God had thrown in my path, if you like, as it influenced me. And so I've interwoven that with biography, but it enabled me to say what I felt was helpful and to omit anything that I felt was unhelpful, either to someone still alive or to a situation which perhaps was better buried than broadcast.
I love your writings. I enjoyed this very much. Can I just ask your routine when you're writing? Are you an early riser and you set aside so many hours a day? How do you do it?
Totally disorganised. When I've got a book, I work at it almost all day. I try to do my housework sometimes, and whatever needs doing, meals or walk the dog or anything you like. And then all the spare time I'm either reading or revising and writing. It's obsessive and not helpful, so it's not recommended, but it does get the books done.
Well, we are very grateful to you for your hard work and your contribution. It's ministered to so many of us. Bless you. Thank you very much, Faye. Thank you.